What do you think is the most important skill in football? If you're a footballer or a coach, you have definitely been asked this question before. Now, before you go ahead and start answering the typical things such as technical skill or tactical intelligence, I'm here to tell you that it's none of the obvious answers. So if you want to find out what that magic thing is, but also how you can start developing that skill today, stick until the end of the video to get all the information you will need. Now let's cut right into the chase. First of all, I personally think that there is not a single area of performance that can bring you to the elite level by itself. Performance is multifactorial, and therefore a combination of skill sets needs to be utilized to be able to produce elite level performances. Having said that, if I were to pick one skill that has the most potential to quote-unquote skyrocket your performance to the elite level, that would definitely be your problem-solving ability. Now before you start getting crazy in the comments, let me explain why. If you have been watching my videos, you already know that I highly value speed of play and believe that if you're not capable of keeping up with the game pace of the level above you, you probably won't be able to take that step up and reach the next level. If you break down speed of play, we're basically talking about your decision-making ability, which relies on three stages: perception, processing, and action. If all of the three work synergistically at a high pace without sacrificing quality, an elite player can be bred. However, the vast majority of players and coaches tend to put all their focus on perception and action, the two ends of the spectrum. Yes, improving your scanning ability, your communication, and your technical skill will all help you develop your game. I am not making this video to eliminate other development areas. I am just here to widen your perspective and help you tap into your fullest potential. And if there is one stage of the decision-making process that gets neglected the most, that is the processing stage. So what is problem solving, and how is it related to the processing stage? As the term suggests, problem solving is your ability to find solutions and solve complex problems. In the context of sport, it is a skill that is used in-game to solve the unpredictable and complex problems the game throws at you. Take a moment and think of how chaotic and unpredictable the game really is. The game situations you might get into are literally endless. So as you may understand, your ability to solve complex, unpredictable problems under the pressure of time, space, and competition is a skill that can define your level of play. Any player, if instructed to do so, can scan or execute a simple pass with accuracy, but players like Toni Kroos and Kevin De Bruyne are able to solve super complex game problems in split seconds. On top of that, their execution skills are simply phenomenal. So if you're trying to reach the elite level, ask yourself, did I solve this game problem correctly? What are the alternative solutions to solve this problem? Could I have processed this faster and executed the action with better quality? And of course, what part of the decision-making process was slow? Was it my perception, my ability to process and problem solve, or was my action lacking technical skill? All of these are questions you should be asking yourself on a regular basis to evaluate your performance and understand your needs. Once you gain that self-awareness, you can then start structuring your development plan with a much clearer head. And no, problem solving isn't a skill that only 1% of footballers are gifted with. Just like any other skill of the game, problem solving can be developed. The question is how? Now the answer to that is that there are literally a dozen of ways you can go about it, but let me be more specific and offer you some of the key traits you shall develop. The first two things I would like to touch upon are your perception and action. I know that you're here to learn how to think and solve problems faster, but let me be real quick here. The faster you can scan and the better you can communicate with your teammates, the more information your brain will get access to. This increase in resources is fundamental when it comes to solving problems. The more you know about the problem, the faster and the better you can solve it. Sounds reasonable, right? On top of that, if your technical skill level is top-notch, you won't even have to spend a millisecond delaying and doubting the actions you need to take. So get the two ends of the decision-making spectrum right, and the middle will benefit too. The next point I would like to touch upon has to do with your tactical intelligence. I know you're not aware of all the problems you'll be facing in-game, but what you can do, however, is this. Analyze your performance, or even better, the role of your position, and ask yourself the questions you see on screen right now. Once you gain clarity on all of these questions, you'll be much more aware of your roles within the team setup. The next step is to use that information you gathered about your game and convert it into something actionable. And what I ultimately mean by that is that you can first find the solutions in the theory and then apply them in practice. The more tactical solutions you have ingrained into your mind, the more versatile and fast you can become in your decision making. Tools that can drastically help you develop this part of your game include tactical books specific to the problems you're trying to solve, as well as game and data analysis, either of your own game or a player's game that suits your style of play and position. Other than that, there are some additional principles and tools you can use to improve your problem-solving speed and quality. For example, small-sided games and exercises with limitations are types of drills that are known to be super effective when it comes to developing speed of play and thereby processing speed and quality. The variations are literally endless. However, I do understand that these games are not always practical, especially for individual development. That is why I think that it is really important to invest a portion of your individual training into position-specific exercises and cognitive training, which we will talk about later in the video. Now, the term position-specific gets misused quite a lot these days and leads players and coaches to sport specificity trap. So if there is one thing I want you to keep in mind, is that sport-specific doesn't need to be complex. You don't have to dribble around a bunch of cones, jump over a dozen of hurdles, perform a variation of the speed ladder, and then shoot the ball just for it to be considered a game-specific drill. You don't have to look like a clown. Position-specific drills are exactly what the term implies. Drills that mimic the most common patterns/problems you have to deal with in your position. Simplicity is king. Remember that the next time you get bombarded with quote-unquote position-specific drills in your Instagram feed. Now, another thing that really matters when it comes to your processing speed has to do with the environment that you compete in. Pushing past your comfort zone and playing on a challenging team or level, whether with or against smart players, definitely comes with both its pros and cons. On one hand, game time might be reduced and sacrificed in many cases, but the opportunity to grow and level up your decision-making ability is immense. Our bodies adapt to the environments we put them in. The faster and the better the players around you perceive, process, and act, the higher the development potential for you. Am I saying that you should fully sacrifice your game time for that? Absolutely not. The truth always lies somewhere in the middle. Try to find that balance, get that game time you need, and always set the standard high to keep growing as a player. And of course, we couldn't finish this video without talking about cognitive training. Now, over the last decade or so, more and more coaches have started using cognitive stimuli during their training. This added stimulus raises the bar a little bit higher and can turn any drill into a challenge. Various cognitive training methods and technologies have brought the individual training process closer to the brain pace required in-game. So if you want to join the party and start taking advantage of this relatively new training concept, I would highly suggest you watch either one or both of the videos you see on screen right now. You just need to stop neglecting your problem-solving ability, period.